For over a century, students from Forest Lake area schools have been rewarded with an educational foundation that provides for a bright future. The list of alumni from the school system is filled with success stories. Success as measured in a variety of ways. The district takes pride in offering both opportunities and academic challenges to its students. More than 90% of Forest Lake's graduating seniors move on to some type of post-secondary education, whether at a four-year college, technical school, or the military. Many have attended and continue to attend prestigious Ivy League universities such as Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, Columbia, and MIT, or major U.S. military academies such as West Point. Others stay closer to home and enroll in the excellent colleges, technical schools, art schools, and business colleges located right here in Minnesota. Forest Lake alumni are a diverse group. Graduates have gone on to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, scientists, small business owners, military officers, and many have worked in other fascinating vocations. The list of alumni of Forest Lake Area High School includes a Tony Award-nominated Broadway actor, a Harvard Medical School professor, and an award-winning Wall Street economist. Hi, I'm Karla Hult, and I'm honored to be one of the graduates of Forest Lake Area Schools to be featured in this series. The following are just a few of the many interesting stories of people who have attended our school district. These men and women have found success in a variety of ways. Personal success, professional success, and success as measured by facing the many challenges we encounter every day of our lives and overcoming those obstacles on our way to becoming better people. Success, it all starts here.
Wow, this is crazy to be back here. This is so cool. Look at that weight room, holy smokes. I hit a few shots from here. Still works. The baskets still work here. I moved to Forest Lake in 1980 from New Prague. I was in 7th grade, so I started right away at Central Junior High. Went to Central Junior High for the 3 years. I was there during the split shift year, which was the year that they were remodeling the junior high. So Southwest and Central both went to school at the same place. So Central started at 6 a.m. I think, and we ended at about 1 o'clock. So it was really a crazy schedule. And then I went to Forest Lake High School and graduated from there in 1986. I went to South Dakota State originally out of high school. Spent 2 years there. I went there to play football, and then transferred to St. John's and played football and basketball at St. John's, and eventually graduated in 91 from St. John's. At the junior high level when I was at Central, there were a number of teachers that were very influential, and I still think about some of the things they taught me growing up, some of the learning lessons you have as a 7th, 8th, 9th grader. Bill Lucine and Bruce Thompson were a couple of my coaches, along with Bill Streeter. They all had an impact on me. John Schumacher, who was the AD and was my coach in football and basketball as a 9th grader, he was very influential in my life, and still to this day I think about him a lot. In high school, I think some of the things I remember most were my teachers. John Lodiger and Gwen Hansen were two teachers that really stick out, that went above and beyond. Really spent some extra time with me, which was very helpful. The whole community, the whole staff at Forest Lake was very, very helpful. Doug Peltier, the athletic director, was a great influence, along with my coaches Mike Grant and in football and in basketball, Brian Hegseth. But all the coaches were great at the high school level. Bill Streeter and Larry Teege and Jim Herman. All those football guys were really important to me. I'm probably forgetting a few of them. But it was a great environment. Everybody was connected. Everybody was in it for you. It wasn't like you were just a number there. They took good care of you. When I was a sophomore, I was lucky enough to be on the varsity, and that year we played in our last football game. We played Coon Rapids, who was the #1 rated team in the state, and eventually became the state champions. And we beat them at Forest Lake, and it was probably the biggest win the program had at the time, and that was pretty exciting. And in basketball, my senior year, we made it to the region finals, and eventually lost to Mounds View, who went on and represented our region at state. But those are probably two of the biggest games that we had at Forest Lake. I graduated from high school. I ended up moving going to school at South Dakota State. I was playing just football out there. I was there for 2 years. Decided to transfer. They had originally brought me in because they had a strong passing game. That offensive coordinator left, and they brought in more of a running game, so it wasn't really fitting. And the opportunity to go up to St. John's was unique because Mike Grant, who was my high school coach, was up at St. John's as an assistant coach. And so going up there made sense. Tommy and Mick Rambold, who were high school friends of mine, were up there. Dan Hennon and Todd Fultz, who also played with me, were a little bit older, were at St. John's, along with a handful of other Forest Lake guys. So it was a real easy fit. And then I went up to St. John's. I played football and basketball at St. John's. I was there for 3 years, and really the St. John's experience has been probably the most influential thing for me in my life as far as the opportunities I've had and the people I've met. That's been a really neat deal from the professional standpoint. So I was a history major at St. John's. I was originally going to go into teaching and coaching. I really wanted to coach. I decided after I got out of college, I had the opportunity to travel overseas and play football and basketball. Played football over in Germany for a while, and basketball. Our basketball team traveled to Brazil for about a 3-week exhibition tour right after my senior season. So I had the opportunity to travel, and then decided to not go into teaching and to set up an organization that would take sports teams over to other countries. And so I started a company called Athletics International and took different primarily football teams. I took one basketball team over, and we mostly went to Ireland and Northern Ireland at that time. I think one of the most unique things about Forest Lake that I look back on now was the fact that it was a hometown. I mean, it was a city with a main street, and it was people who had lived there a long time. It wasn't a little suburb. It was a community from the start. In 1985, when I was a junior at Forest Lake, my brother was unfortunately battling cancer, and he was younger than I was. He was 11 at the time, and he died on September 14th of 1985. And that was a real challenge, for not only me, but for my family. And the Forest Lake community, from the high school and all the teachers and coaches there who were with me each day, our church at Faith Lutheran, and everybody from all the walks and different aspects of Forest Lake really rallied around our family, and that was very instrumental. There were some challenges. It was a very tough time. My grades dropped, and I had people like John Lodiger and Gwen Hansen who spent extra time with me to help me stay eligible and to keep focused on my grades, and they would stay after school with me and put in extra time, which was incredibly helpful. Yeah, on June 5th of 2008, I was heading up to Hugo to go to a job site, and I was on Manning Avenue, just north of 96, and a car coming at me at about 60 miles an hour crossed over the center line and hit me head on. I had very little reaction time. I remember seeing it at the last second. I remember having enough time to think this is going to be bad, and then I was hit. I remember everything from the accident, except for a brief, probably 10-second, 15-second point where the car went airborne right after the collision, and then skidded to a stop, luckily landing on its tires. So I'm very grateful of that. The car started on fire, and I was able to get myself without the use of my legs because they weren't working at the time, and my back was in tremendous pain. Pulled myself into the back seat of my car with my arms, and then was able to get up to the window when a couple of other people approached the car and helped pull me out. And I spent a little over a month at Regions, or almost a month at Regions, I should say. Came home then, was at home for about 3-4 months, went back to Regions for about another month, and then rehabbed pretty much the rest of the way. I recovered and went to the Courage Center to do my rehab, and I was there for a good year, a little over a year in rehabbing there. And it's just, the Courage Center is a phenomenal place. I've spoke a number of times at different events that they've had, and I've mentioned this each time, that the Courage Center is a place just full of overachievers, and you cannot leave that place without feeling motivated. So a couple years after my accident, I decided to write and publish a book to kind of tell my story. I had a lot of requests of people wanting to hear about it and speaking and things like that. So I wrote a book. I called it The Year of Little Victories, and it basically follows my life and my family's life over the course of 2 years of recovering from a 120-mile-an-hour head-on collision, and the challenges we faced and the changes we faced. And the book's done really well. I speak a couple times a week and sell the books online at toddfultz.com, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for me in a number of ways. As negative as the experience was to be hit head-on and to spend so much time in the hospital and recovering, there is good that comes out of everything. And in this situation, I've had the opportunity to reconnect with a lot of people. When I go to different speaking events, I'll have different Forest Lake people that'll come up to me or that'll connect with me. We get so few opportunities in life to connect after you get out of school, because everybody goes in different directions and they take different paths and start their families at different times. So really the opportunity to get an extra day or two or an extra opportunity to talk to them was really a gift. My name is Todd Fultz, and I am Forest Lake Area Schools.
We hope you've enjoyed this series of success story videos. Other features will be added over the next few months and years. So feel free to check back to our website periodically to see more great stories about Forest Lake area schools. I'm Karla Hult. Thanks for watching.